Hello everyone and welcome back. This week brought two important updates that could affect millions of people who receive Social Security benefits in the United States. Surprisingly, many beneficiaries still haven't heard about these changes through television, their banks, or official notices. One update involves a deadline that is approaching sooner than expected and may require immediate attention. The other is connected to the latest inflation data and could potentially increase the amount of money some people receive. However, there are important details and conditions that everyone needs to understand. In this video, we'll explain both updates in simple terms, discuss what they could mean for different situations, and outline the steps you may want to consider next. If you enjoy staying informed about Social Security news and financial updates, consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you don't miss future developments. Now, let's take a closer look at these two important announcements and what they may mean for you. The first update is related to the long-term financial outlook of Social Security. Each year, federal agencies release a detailed report that evaluates the program's financial condition and estimates how long its current reserves may continue to support benefits. According to the latest report, the main retirement trust fund is expected to face reserve depletion sooner than previously projected. The new estimate indicates that the fund could reach this point by 2032, which is earlier than earlier forecasts had suggested. This change has attracted attention because it signals that the financial challenges facing Social Security may be approaching faster than many people expected. While the program would not disappear entirely, a depletion of reserves could affect how benefits are financed in the future unless lawmakers take action. For beneficiaries and future retirees, this serves as an important reminder to stay informed about Social Security developments and pay close attention to any policy changes that may occur in the coming years. The projected depletion date has moved slightly closer, marking another year in which the estimate has shifted earlier than expected. Although the change may seem minor, it highlights growing concerns about the long-term financial stability of the Social Security system. One factor behind this adjustment is recent legislation that reduced the amount of taxes some beneficiaries pay on their Social Security income. For many retirees, this means keeping more money in their pockets in the near term. However, lower tax revenue also means less money flowing back into the program, which can place additional pressure on the trust fund over time. It's important to understand what reserve depletion actually means. It does not mean that Social Security benefits would suddenly disappear. The program will continue to receive payroll tax contributions from working Americans. The concern is that, based on current projections, those ongoing payroll taxes may cover only a portion of scheduled benefits. If no legislative changes are made before the projected depletion date, benefits could face automatic reductions across the board. Such cuts would apply broadly to recipients, regardless of their age, health status, or how long they have been receiving payments. For current and future retirees, these projections underscore the importance of staying informed and paying attention to potential policy changes that can shape the future of Social Security benefits. To understand the potential impact, consider what a reduction in benefits could mean in real dollars. A cut of around 22% would translate into hundreds of dollars less each month for many retirees, depending on the amount they currently receive. For some households, that could represent a significant portion of their monthly budget. The important point is that these projections are not aimed at a small group of people. If no legislative changes occur, the estimated reductions would affect all Social Security beneficiaries under the current funding outlook. Several policy organizations and retirement experts have urged lawmakers to address the issue sooner rather than later. Their message is clear. The longer action is delayed, the more difficult and potentially disruptive future reforms could become. Acting earlier allows for more gradual adjustments, while waiting could require more significant changes. For people already receiving Social Security benefits, there is no immediate reason for alarm. Current projections do not suggest that benefits will suddenly stop in the near future. Under existing law, the program remains funded for several more years. What this information does provide is context. As discussions about Social Security reform become more frequent, understanding the potential consequences of inaction can help beneficiaries make sense of the debate. The projected reductions are based on current financial estimates and serve as a reminder that long-term decisions about the program still need to be made. For those who have not yet claimed Social Security, these reports may become one of several factors to consider when planning retirement and deciding deciding when to begin receiving benefits. The choice of when to claim remains highly personal and should take into account income needs, health, life expectancy, and future policy developments. For individuals who have not yet started claiming Social Security benefits, the latest projections add another consideration to retirement planning. Choosing to claim benefits earlier may provide income sooner, while delaying benefits can result in larger monthly payments later in life. However, delaying also means relying more heavily on future policy decisions and the long-term stability of the program. There is no single strategy that works for everyone. The right choice depends on factors such as personal health, other retirement income sources, financial needs, and expectations about how policymakers may address Social Security's future challenges. The most important thing is to make these decisions using reliable and accurate information. Now, turning to another important development, recent inflation data has sparked renewed attention among retirees and Social Security recipients. The annual cost of living adjustment, commonly known as COLA, is determined using inflation measurements that track changes in consumer prices. The official adjustment for the upcoming year is announced later in the year, but analysts monitor inflation reports throughout the year to estimate where the adjustment may be heading. The latest inflation figures indicate that price growth remains elevated, leading some experts to revise their early projections upward. If inflation continues at a higher pace, beneficiaries could potentially receive a larger cost of living increase than previously expected. While these estimates are not final, they provide an early indication of the direction in which future benefit adjustments may be moving. Recent inflation data suggests that price increases have reached their highest levels in several years. Rising energy expenses, including fuel and household utility costs, have been major contributors to the increase. At the same time, many consumers continue to experience higher grocery and everyday living expenses. Because of these trends, some Social Security analysts have raised their early estimates for next year's cost of living adjustment, COLA. Certain projections now indicate that the increase could be noticeably larger than the previous year's adjustment, with some experts believing the estimate could rise further if inflation remains elevated in the coming months. Other organizations that monitor retirement and senior issues have issued slightly lower forecasts, but they also expect a higher COLA than many had anticipated earlier in the year. To put these estimates into perspective, a larger COLA could result in a meaningful increase in monthly Social Security payments. Depending on the final percentage and an individual's benefit amount, recipients could see a larger monthly boost than they received in the previous year. However, it is important to remember that a higher COLA is often a response to rising living costs. While bigger benefit checks may provide additional income, they are designed to help retirees keep pace with inflation rather than significantly increase their purchasing power. The final adjustment will depend on inflation data collected over the remaining months before the official announcement is made. A larger cost of living adjustment can sound like excellent news because it means beneficiaries may receive higher monthly payments. However, there is an important detail that often gets overlooked. A bigger COLA usually reflects higher inflation and rising living expenses. Even when Social Security checks increase, the added income may not fully keep up with the higher cost of necessities such as food, electricity, fuel, housing, and healthcare. In many cases, retirees may receive more money each month, but still find that their purchasing power has declined because everyday expenses have increased even faster. This is one of the biggest challenges facing many seniors today. A benefit increase can provide relief, but it does not automatically mean that retirees are financially ahead. If inflation continues to outpace benefit adjustments, households may still struggle to maintain the same standard of living they enjoyed in previous years. The key issue is not simply whether monthly payments rise, but whether those increases are enough to offset the real-world costs people face every day. When prices climb faster than benefits, the gap gradually reduces the buying power of fixed incomes. Recent surveys and retirement advocacy groups have highlighted these concerns, noting that many older Americans continue to feel financial pressure despite receiving annual cost of living increases. For many retirees, millions of retirees, Social Security is not just supplemental income. It is their primary or only source of financial support. Recent studies indicate that a growing number of older Americans rely entirely on these monthly payments to meet their everyday needs. In this situation, even small differences between benefit increases and the actual cost of living can have a major impact on household finances. Current projections suggest that next year's cost of living adjustment could be larger than the increase beneficiaries received this year. From a dollar perspective, that would be welcome news for many retirees. However, it is important to remember that the official adjustment has not yet been finalized. The final COLA figure depends on additional inflation data that will be released in the coming months. Changes in energy prices, food costs, and other economic factors could cause the estimate to rise or fall before the official announcement is made. For now, the most practical approach is to view these projections as useful information rather than a reason to make major financial decisions immediately. The trend points toward the possibility of a higher adjustment, but the exact amount remains uncertain until the final calculations are completed. The key takeaway is simple. Inflation trends suggest that benefits may increase next year, but retirees should continue monitoring official updates and use the available information as one factor in their ongoing financial planning. The latest Social Security financial report indicates that the program's reserve funds may reach depletion sooner than previously expected. Current projections suggest that without legislative changes, the trust fund could face significant funding challenges in the early 2030s. If no action is taken, future benefits could be reduced because incoming payroll taxes alone may not be sufficient to cover all scheduled payments. Recent tax policy changes affecting retirees have also contributed to concerns about the program's long-term financing by reducing some of the revenue flowing back into the system. Even so, beneficiaries should understand that there are no immediate changes to current payments and Social Security benefits continue under existing law. At the same time, inflation trends point to the possibility of a larger cost of living adjustment next year. Early estimates suggest that the increase could be noticeably higher than this year's adjustment. However, the official figure has not yet been determined and will depend on additional inflation data released in the coming months. A higher COLA can provide larger monthly checks, but it also reflects rising prices throughout the economy. For many retirees, increasing costs for essentials such as food, energy, housing, and healthcare continue to put pressure on household budgets, meaning that higher benefits may not fully restore lost purchasing power. The main takeaway is to stay informed, follow official updates, and avoid making major financial decisions based solely on early projections. Understanding these trends can help retirees and their families plan more effectively for the future. If you found this information useful, consider sharing it with someone who relies on Social Security benefits and may benefit from staying updated on these important developments.